Today we're visiting one of the fastest growing regions in America. 30 new faces move here every day. At the same time, there's still a small town atmosphere. This is Northwest Arkansas. How does a community sustain that growth, and how does it make sure everyone is included in the upside? We're here to find out. We'll meet key leaders, including the governor of Arkansas, and most importantly, we'll meet entrepreneurs. I'm Victor Huang. Welcome to The Start Show. Welcome to The Start Show, brought to you from Right to Start. Right to Start is a nonpartisan campaign fighting to make entrepreneurship a public priority. Each of us holds the spark to start and grow a dream into a business. You have a right to nurture that spark, your right to start. It's a fundamental right, just like your right to speech and your right to worship. You've got a right to be an entrepreneur, but we have to break down the barriers to unleash entrepreneurial opportunity for everyone. Today we're visiting Northwest Arkansas, here in the lovely Ozark Mountains. The region has 4 main cities: Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, and Springdale. 3 Fortune 500 companies were founded here, including a little one named Walmart. And there's also a growing startup scene with tons of emerging new businesses and lots of new entrepreneurial talent moving here. It's an exciting place that most Americans don't really know. There are over 400 miles of mountain biking trails, a thriving arts community, and a great food scene. Last decade, Northwest Arkansas's population grew by 21%. That was 13th fastest in the country. But how does a community sustain that growth without losing its best qualities and without leaving people behind? Today we'll meet people on the front lines of economic change, the entrepreneurs. They're adapting, taking risks, and building the future of Northwest Arkansas. And we'll meet key leaders and policymakers who support them. In every town we visit, we feature the local coffee. That's because coffee is the liquid fuel of entrepreneurs. A research study found that coffee actually makes you 16% smarter at solving problems. Really, if you're stuck on an entrepreneurial conundrum, get you some coffee. And coffee makers are entrepreneurs too. Today we're visiting Arcega's Coffee Roasters in Fayetteville. They're fueling our show today, as well as entrepreneurs in Northwest Arkansas for almost 3 decades. Carrie and Cindy Arcega founded the shop in 1992, and Arcega's has become a fixture in the community. A special thanks to our sponsor, the Walton Family Foundation. The foundation helps to build inclusive economic vibrancy in their home region of Northwest Arkansas, which includes supporting entrepreneurs from all backgrounds and ensuring they get a fair shot. We're sincerely grateful for their support. Today we get to meet one of my favorite people in the world, my colleague and collaborator, Kim Lane. Kim is our Chief Operating Officer at Right to Start, and she's also a native Arkansan. Today she's our host for our visit to Arkansas. We're in a unique moment for places in Middle America. What's the opportunity for places like Northwest Arkansas?
We're in a really critical inflection point in Northwest Arkansas because, there's a new paradigm of work happening, the workforce is changing rapidly. So if you're able to, for instance, work for a company on the coast in Northwest Arkansas, your take-home pay will be a lot higher, your quality of life will arguably be higher.
What does Right to Start mean to you? Why are you involved? Why is this something you're so passionate about?
Right to Start lays at the crux of so many things I'm passionate about, but particularly entrepreneurial policy. We think about entrepreneurship and people chasing after their dreams, and I think there's a larger narrative there of systems change. So how can we actually change the paradigm to make it easier to succeed?
What would you want people in the rest of the country to know about Arkansas that perhaps they might not know?
This is a great place to start a business. The cost of living is really low in Arkansas, and we have amazing trails, amazing quality of life, lots of local businesses, lots of dreamers, but also we do have so many resources here from the state, from local entrepreneurial support organizations, and so I think that the climate is ripe for entrepreneurship. It just needs people to tap into it.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for everything you do.
The pleasure is mine. Welcome to Arkansas.
One word to describe what entrepreneurship means to you.
Inspiration.
Risk-taking.
Freedom. To follow your dreams.
Liberation.
I would say independence.
Courage.
How about determination?
That's easy, and it's equity.
Arkansas's Governor Asa Hutchinson is a former entrepreneur who started the first FM radio station in Bentonville. We invited him to join us on The Start Show. Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us here on the Start Show here today.
Absolutely. Great to be with you today.
So you've talked a lot about the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation. Why do entrepreneurs matter to you? Why do they matter to Arkansas in particular?
Well, you look at Arkansas and our history of entrepreneurship. Without their risk-taking, we would not be a state that has Walmart or Tyson's Foods or Dillard's or Murphy Oil.
Now, as governor, you've done a lot to support entrepreneurs. Which of those types of efforts do you think has made the most impact or are you proudest of?
First of all, we've tried to reduce the licensure burden. We wanted to make sure it's an easy point of entry. Secondly, we saw the need for expanding the opportunities for startup companies in the areas of technology. And so we started the ACCELERATOR program, which devotes $250,000 of state resources matching with a private sector partner that will create an accelerator program that brings in startup companies. And we have that in 6 different sectors now, from fintech to health tech to plug and play came in as part of that. And so these are all designed to help technology companies in different fields get a start. We've also been able to help small businesses through the pandemic. We had our Ready for Business grants that have been very, very important that got out $130 million during the pandemic to over 500 small companies that had fewer than 50 employees. And that's the kind of support that's important to help small companies survive during a pandemic.
Now, you've just got 1 year left in your term as governor. Do you have any plans for how you want to help entrepreneurs in your final year?
The taxes is a big goal that I have to continue to reduce those. And then we always are constantly looking at the licensure side. If we can reduce the license fee, which we're starting down that process through efficiencies in our operations, then that's a plus.
Name your favorite startup business that you want everyone else to know about.
One of them is Matova. It is a startup company. They build cyber ranges where you can build the talent for cybersecurity. They build cyber ranges for the Department of Defense.
Can you name one barrier you'd love to see removed for entrepreneurs?
One of the barriers is access to capital. And that is a real challenge for startup companies. And so, we have some different programs to help. But the biggest solution is I really would love to see community banks, other banks be a better access for capital for startup companies.
We really appreciate your time, your support of entrepreneurs, and thank you for being part of the Start Show here today.
Hey, great. Thank you for what you do advocating for startup companies.
Right to Start has 3 advocates in Northwest Arkansas. There are local organizers. They meet with entrepreneurs and civic leaders to help overcome the challenges that entrepreneurs face every day. That means opening doors, sharing information, and improving conditions for entrepreneurs. Damara Baker was born in Venezuela, has worked in marketing for Fortune 1000 companies, and now lives in Fayetteville, where she started Rockin' Baker. It's a bakery that makes delicious artisan breads for top restaurants and hotels. And they do it by employing young adults on the autism spectrum and preparing them for lifelong careers. Damara, what makes Northwest Arkansas a good or a bad place to start a business?
I said a good place because you have all of the resources that you need. You also have the Arkansas Small Business Technological Center here. So you have all of these free resources, and plus this is such a growing area.
Name one barrier you'd like to see removed for entrepreneurs.
How can we make it easy for anyone to have access to all of the resources and everything that you need to know to launch a business? Right now, you have to go to so many different places to get the information. How can we make that process or that journey so much streamlined?
We're at the University of Arkansas in the Brewer Family Entrepreneurship Hub. They train entrepreneurs and provide co-working, workshops, experts, and events for entrepreneurs. Anyone in the university community can use this space to start and grow their businesses. We're grateful to the Brewer Hub for sharing their space with us today. Irma Chavez was born in El Salvador, moved to LA, and then 12 years ago moved to Springdale, Arkansas. 5 years ago, she founded Conexión de Negocios Latinos, a group that supports Latino businesses in Northwest Arkansas, linking them to resources. What makes Northwest Arkansas a good place to start a business?
I think is because we have all the resources we need here, people can start a business with a small capital.
What are some of the challenges of starting a business in Northwest Arkansas?
This state is English-only language. Sometimes they don't understand where to go, where to find the licenses and all the permits to start the business.
And what types of changes would you like to see to make it easier for entrepreneurs like that?
I would say the chambers need to focus a lot more in the Latinx community. They maybe can have documents translated, or they can hire somebody who speaks the language.
Jeanette Collins leads entrepreneurship development in the Northwest Arkansas Council. The council helps expand funding, training, workforce, and other support for startups. And Jeanette is an entrepreneur herself, having founded a graphic design studio and an angel investment fund. Jeanette, thanks for being here with us today. Can you tell us what the Northwest Arkansas Council does to support entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. So the Northwest Arkansas Council is a nonprofit. We were founded in 1990. We have a membership of industry leaders all across the region. And what's beautiful about this organization is that we're really able to convene people from across the regions. We're a polycentric region, and we're able to look at what the gaps, the opportunities, the challenges are, and really bring people together around the table to think strategically and implement strategies to meet those gaps.
Can you name one startup company that you want everyone to know about?
Sure. I just had the pleasure of meeting Michael Kraus. He's got a company called A New Lumber Co., and he works at Food Loops, Northwest Arkansas, which really looks at sustainability and figuring out how do we take waste streams deflect from landfill and find ways to find aftermarket uses for those products.
Congressman French Hill, thank you for joining us here on the Start Show today.
Glad to be with you, Victor, and thanks for the invitation.
You have been a co-chair of the House Entrepreneurship Caucus in Congress, and we've been extremely grateful for your support with that. That was just a group that was formed in 2019, so not that long ago. Why is that Entrepreneurship Caucus important for those people on the outside that might not understand it, and how does the caucus help entrepreneurs?
It's such a good question, and I'm surprised we didn't have one that was focused for that vast majority of American innovators that want to go off and start their own business. Two key points. One, I wanted to get Democrats and Republicans who have a business background, including starting their own business, that firm sense of entrepreneurship, engaged in the Congress, talking to each other, looking at ideas to create a better, more well-facilitated environment for business startups. And this crosses so many different topics, from regulatory policy, obviously, to tax policy, to R&D policies, to simple things like sometimes just bank regulatory policy at a local commercial bank.
You've talked about that startup slump, which is the decline in entrepreneurship in America over the last several decades. What do you think is needed to turn that around? How do we actually tackle that startup slump?
So first of all, I think we need an ecosystem that supports our young people and our mid-career people both, that says you can make a change, you can go fill that gap, and we're there to support you emotionally, financially, regulatorily, legally, public accounting of finance-wise. And entrepreneurs have to have that venture ecosystem now more than ever. Second challenge, America's a big country now. Business has concentrated into ever bigger organizations, more than half of which are multinational. And so the barrier to entry to be an entrepreneur, actually, in my view, has gotten higher as America's gotten bigger, more sophisticated, and more multinational.
What should other policymakers know about being an entrepreneur that they maybe don't know right now?
People come out of college and unless they're independently bent this direction, many of them don't have an entrepreneurial role model in their life. When I was a boy, there were many entrepreneurs that I interacted with every week as a child. So that exposure is a real challenge. And I think when people come to Congress, Victor, they don't know what an entrepreneur looks like. sometimes, or they associate it only with a tech entrepreneur potentially.
I think that's such a fascinating thing you talk about. It's a downward spiral. If fewer people know entrepreneurs, then fewer people become them and even understand what it means. Can you name your favorite startup business that you'd love other people to know about?
It's called Leap XL, and it allows you to not have any programming or coding knowledge, but produce programs.
Well, that's great. Well, Congressman Hill, thank you for joining us here on the show. Thanks for your leadership in the U.S. Congress, and we look forward to seeing the great work that's ahead with you.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it, Victor.
So, Yi-Lin, thank you for joining us here on the Start Show today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You work with the Walton Family Foundation in supporting entrepreneurs in Northwest Arkansas. Can you tell us about how the Walton Family Foundation supports entrepreneurs? How do you go about your work?
At the Walton Family Foundation, we tackle tough social and environmental problems with urgency and a long-term approach to create access to opportunity for people and communities. So at the Walton Family Foundation, we have 3 broad program areas, and one of them focuses on Northwest Arkansas. So in Northwest Arkansas, we are working to advance economic and cultural vibrancy. We want to foster inclusive growth and a sense of belonging. And we want to support community leadership and capacity building. And entrepreneurship is key in all these strategies. We want to build an ecosystem that provides resources to all entrepreneurs, regardless of who they are. And as part of these efforts, we are working hard to remove barriers for entrepreneurs and to ensure the fundamental building blocks are in place for an inclusive business environment.
So the way you describe it is it's almost like a feedback loop. Like unless you do something about it, then these overlooked entrepreneurs will get even more overlooked, and the community will fall further and further behind. How do you break that?
We try to look at providing accessible loans. So we worked with Startup Junkie Foundation and Kiva to set up a Kiva hub in Northwest Arkansas. And Kiva is a crowdsourcing platform that allows entrepreneurs, especially the underserved entrepreneurs, to be able to crowdsource loan capital from the community.
Thank you, Yi-Lin. Thank you for joining us here today on The Start Show. Secretary Preston, thank you so much for joining us on The Start Show.
Sure. So it's AEDC is the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. It's part of the Department of Commerce here in Arkansas. And really the Economic Development Commission is all about businesses, growing businesses, recruiting businesses, retaining businesses, and helping them all across the board. Certainly on the small business side and the entrepreneurs who are just getting into new markets. We're there to help be facilitators and help them look for opportunities in the state to grow and thrive and prosper.
You talked about some of the programs that you run through Commerce and AEDC. Are there any that you're proudest of that you think are most effective for entrepreneurs?
Our equity investment tax credit program, I think that does give a unique advantage in Arkansas that you don't necessarily see in other states, where we're putting up a tax credit that's allowing small businesses to leverage that to raise funds.
So we've got a couple of questions from entrepreneurs. We have a question from Laura and Sandra Carrasco. They run an eatery in Springdale called Bites and Bowls.
We started Bites and Bowls in 2018 because we wanted to provide a better food alternatives for our community in Springdale, Arkansas.
And the question we have for you today is, what are you doing to increase collaboration between our city government and minority-owned businesses?
We have a women and small minority-owned small business division. They're focused specifically on those women-owned and minority businesses. We do have resources available through that division that can certainly assist, and we want to make sure the platform is level across the field.
A question from Cedric Fonville. He's an entrepreneur in Fayetteville running a digital media agency called NICE.
I started my business to help other entrepreneurs succeed in their businesses. The one thing I would love to see is for our policymakers to have more resources financially for entrepreneurs who are already in the process of running their business. because a lot of times we can't get approved for additional loans or credit.
Our largest division within economic development is our existing business resource division. So whether that be assistance through loans for growth opportunities, training assistance to bring in or reskill employees, that division does a ton of work. So there's a lot of resources available.
Secretary Preston, thanks so much for being here today and for all you do to support the entrepreneurs of Arkansas.
Thank you, Victor. It's good to talk to you today.
Graham Cobb is the CEO of the Bentonville Chamber of Commerce. They've been a leader in making Bentonville attractive for talented people across the country, and they put entrepreneurs and small businesses at the top of their agenda. Tell us about how the Chamber tries to support future Sam Waltons, the little entrepreneurs right now trying to build something great.
The Chamber, we integrate entrepreneurship into basically all of our programming, and then we've done a few specific things with intentionality towards entrepreneurship. Our Northwest Arkansas Tech Summit is the region's premier technology summit. We've had a pitch contest at the Tech Summit, so they're in front of 1,500, 2,000 tech leaders and people on the cutting edge of retail technology, supply chain, and AI. For mentors and then also for capital. A few years ago, we launched a membership platform just for entrepreneurs. We launched a 12-month pilot program for inclusive entrepreneurship. You're beginning to see folks who hadn't focused on talent attraction or that remote worker attraction see a need to focus on that.
Have you seen that influx over the last year, and what has that been like?
Northwest Arkansas Council launched the Life Works Here program that offered essentially scholarships for a year of $10,000 and a bike, or $10,000 if you don't ride a bike, you get a year-long membership to a cultural institution like Crystal Bridges or Momentary. They had 40,000 applicants in 30 days from across the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've seen major founders of companies like Evernote, Phil Livin, who's relocated here and has launched another project.
So that's our Start Show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please click subscribe on our channel. Also check out the Right to Start campaign at righttostart.org to learn more about how we're fighting to democratize entrepreneurship. Thanks to everyone in Arkansas, including the governor and the entrepreneurs of Northwest Arkansas. We've got a fantastic team of people who make the show possible. Thank you to all of them. There's so much hidden talent in Arkansas. The city of Fort Smith produces amazing singers, including gospel artist Anita Smith. More people need to hear Anita sing. You're going to love this closing from her, courtesy of Music Moves. We'll see you next time on The Start Show.